Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1837B, and today's date is April 9th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Panic in D.C., Mueller Report Incoming, Criminal Referrals Just the Beginning. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about the threats nowadays in America, especially with the caravans bombarding the border. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market? It has life-saving emergency strobe lights. You can charge your phone anywhere, anytime, with a USB port. Other features include compass, rope, wire cutter, solar-powered recharging, high and low beam LED modes, glass-breaking hammer. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance you can get yours at a discount before they sell out. Purchase the best flashlight on the market and get 20% off when you use the code X20. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, what we're seeing the deep state. They are panicking. They're worried. There's panic in D.C. We'll be discussing this in just a bit. And we also notice that those individuals that are in the deep state, they used to be hunting Trump. They had Mueller, they had the mainstream media, and they were on the hunt. They were going after him. If you noticed, things have switched around now. We have Nunes, we have Meadows, we have Huber, we have Horowitz, we have Barr, and what are they doing? They are hunting these individuals one by one. Think about what Meadows and Nunes have done. They have referred individuals to the Department of Justice. Barr will be taking a look at this. Behind the scenes, there's been no leaks. Huber and Horowitz, they've been investigating quite a bit. They're on the hunt. These individuals are a little worried at this point. Everything that they set up has been stripped away. They have nothing to protect them anymore. And this is their biggest worry. But first I wanted to start off with what is happening with Julian Assange. We know that there were reports out there telling us that Assange is going to be leaving the embassy. He's going to be arrested. And this was put out there and it was going to happen very, very soon. Then we come to find out that the Ecuadorian government said, no, this is not true. This is not going to happen. And Assange is still in there. Well, the Gateway pundit's Cassandra Fairbanks, she's in London covering events outside the Ecuadorian embassy. And on Monday night, she spotted an undercover police vehicle staked outside of the embassy. And she tweeted out the following: I just confronted the undercover police here tonight for the third time. How much is this covert operation costing taxpayers? So it looks like there are individuals who are watching the embassy, maybe to see if Julian Assange sneaks out and maybe they can pick him up. But we can see that they've been spying on the embassy this entire time. And she confronts these individuals and they're in the car and they hid their faces. And we need to remember something very important. Q said to the clowns, listen, you might have the site, but we have the source, which means that the Patriots are protecting and helping Julian Assange. And eventually he will leave the embassy. I think it will be under the protection of the Patriots. Now, what's very interesting is that this is coming out of the American Mirror. And it turns out that Comey's daughter works for the SDNY. This is the Southern District of New York. She's worked there since 2015, Maureen Comey. And she interned there and was a clerk in 2014 before being hired full-time as a powerful lawyer for the prosecutor's office. Now, we know the SDNY, they're going after Trump. And they've been investigating Trump. And we know that they just introduced a bill in New York to see if they can get his tax records by changing the laws. Now, we know that Trump fired James Comey back in May 2017. and Trump has slammed James Comey several times in public. Has she recused herself from the cases involving the president? That's a question. In a series of tweets, Twitter user Rosie Memos shared screenshots showing that Comey certainly appears to work for SDNY. This is one of the tweets. Did we know Comey's daughter was an assistant U.S. attorney for SDNY since 2015? In another tweet, Rosie Memo shared a link to the Open Data New York, which is a database that allows users to search for information on businesses, schools, lawyers, and so on in New York. And according to the search on the website, Maureen Ryan Comey is listed as working for the U.S. Attorney's Office. So it looks like, most likely, this is true. And we need to wonder, what role is she playing in all of this? Now, Comey, he was out there and he condemned Trump for calling for a possible investigation into how Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia inquiry started, adding that it creates a troubling precedent. Gee, do you think Comey's a little worried? He said, I don't fear it personally. I fear it as a citizen, right? Investigate what? Investigate that investigations were conducted? What would be the crime you'd be investigating? So it's a terrible cycle to start. Take a listen to what he said.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To investigate perhaps you, perhaps others. Do you fear that? Do you think that's coming down the pike?
I don't fear it personally. I fear it as a citizen, right? Investigate what? Investigate that investigations were conducted, and what would be the crime you'd be investigating? So it's a terrible cycle to start. He's already started it with calling for the locking up of his political opponents, including people like me. And so it would just be more of that dangerous step. And I would hope, although they continue to disappoint me, the Republicans would finally stand up and say, we don't do that kind of thing. But me personally, ask me questions. Go ahead. I'd like to answer them in the daylight if I could.
And as you can see, he's a little bit panicked here because it will lead back to him. This is what he's afraid of. It will show that he was protecting Clinton, that he helped push this whole thing along. And it will expose all the other players that are connected to him. He is scared right now. He is panicking. Now, to add fuel to this flame, Mark Meadows is out there, and he's saying more criminal referrals are coming. We have overwhelming evidence to show the Department of Justice and FBI abuse. Mark Meadows tweeted out, the right move from @DevonNunes. More criminal referrals to come, and certainly more deserved. Overwhelming evidence shows multiple FBI plus Department of Justice executives abuse their power to undermine a duly elected president. They'll be held accountable. And then we come to find out that Representative Devon Nunes filed a $150 million lawsuit against McClatchy News alleging conspiracy to derail Clinton-Russia investigation. He also filed, if you remember, a $250 million lawsuit alleging defamation against Twitter. So, what did Q tell us? Class action lawsuits. This is just the beginning. So Huber and Horowitz are continuing with their investigations. These are not made public as of yet, but Nunes and Meadows are out in the front, right in the line of fire, right out in the public, making criminal referrals. This is to get the public used to the idea that there were individuals who broke the law and they will be prosecuted. This is what they've been doing all along, getting the public on their side. Because once Huber and Horowitz release their information, it's going to be so much more damaging than what Nunes and Meadows put forth. And the public will already be on track to accept all of this. This is why we see all of this happening. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following, breaking. McCabe personally saw it that General Flynn was fired after Yates' pressuring of White House lawyer McGahn on January 30th, 2017 didn't accomplish their goal. McCabe sat Vice President Pence down in Situation Room on February 10th and had him read his 302s on Flynn. The NSC chief was fired 3 days later. So it looks like Obama had McCabe do the dirty work. So let's see. McCabe was booked on every TV show previewing the Mueller report. He claimed that Trump might be a Russian asset. The summary came out, and what happened to McCabe? He disappeared. He's no longer giving talks. He's gone. Unbelievable. The hunters have now become the hunted. Judicial Watch right now, they have uncovered FBI documents showing evidence of a cover-up, discussions related to Hillary Clinton's private server. So they uncovered 422 pages of FBI documents showing evidence of a cover-up, discussions related to Hillary Clinton's private email server with Platte River Networks. So Judicial Watch, they also obtained Hillary Clinton's 2009 classified information non-disclosure agreement bearing her signature via Judicial Watch. FBI notes of an interview with an unidentified Platte River Network official in February 2016, almost a year after the Clinton email network was first revealed, shows that Platte River gave someone access to live HRC archive mailbox at some point. The same notes show that an email from December 11, 2014 exists that reads Hillary Cover-Up Operation Work Ticket Archive Cleanup. The interviewee said that the cover-up operation email probably related to the change to 60-day sick email retention policy backup. The subject indicated that he didn't recall the prior policy. The notes also indicated redacted advised redacted not to answer questions related to conversation with David Kendall, document 49, based on Fifth Amendment. The subject said that everyone at PRN has access to client portal. On December 11, 2014, Platte River Network's email between redacted parties says it's sick, all part of Hillary cover-up operation. Smile. I'll have to tell you about it at the party. In August 2015, email from Platte River Network says, so does this mean we don't have off-site backups currently? That could be a problem if someone hacks this thing and jacks it up. We will have to be able to produce a copy of it somehow, or we're in some deep shit. Also, whatever sick came from the guys at Datto about the old backups. Do they have any way sick of getting those back after we told to cut it to 30 days? In March 2015, Platte River Network specifically discusses security of the email server. Redacted is going to send over a list of recommendations for us to apply for additional security against hackers. He did say we should probably remove all Clinton files, folders, info off our servers, etc. on an independent drive. Handwritten notes that appear to be from Platte River Networks in February 2016 mention questions concerning the Clinton email system and state of backups. So the documents also show that Platte River Networks use the use of a bleach bit on Hillary Clinton's server system while they're under congressional subpoena. This information was previously reported to the public. The bleach bit program was downloaded from a vendor called SourceForge at 11:42 a.m. on March 31st, 2015, according to a computer event log, and over the next half hour was used to delete the files on Hillary's server. And this is what Judicial Watch is reporting. So let me continue here. In an August 2015 classified memo prepared by the FBI Counterintelligence Division regarding the findings of the ICIG with respect to Hillary's email server, the FBI noted that the ICIG had found that in a sampling of only about 40 of Hillary's 30,000 emails, 4 classified emails were found. A subsequent letter sent by Senator Richard Burr to ODNI Clapper regarding the sample of Clinton's emails noted that they were all classified at the secret level. In an August 2015 internal FBI memo, the FBI notes that Hillary Clinton has signed a June 28, 2011 official correspondence advising all State Department employees that due to recent targeting of personal email accounts by online adversaries, state employees should avoid conducting official department business from their personal email accounts. The same FBI memo noted that Under Secretary of State for Management Patrick Kennedy had sent a memo to all senior State Department officials on August 28, 2014, in which Kennedy included excerpts from the Foreign Affairs Manual that said the classified information must be sent via classified email channels only. The documents uncovered by Judicial Watch also show infighting between State Department Under Secretary Patrick Kennedy and the ICIG over the processing of the potentially compromised Clinton email communications. A June 15, 2015 memo, for the record, prepared by the ICIG regarding the State Department's review of Hillary Clinton's email indicates, among other things, that the retired Foreign Service officers that the state was using to review Hillary's emails were not optimal. So these new documents show that various Obama agencies were protecting Hillary Clinton from the consequences of her misconduct. It is well past time for the Department of Justice to stop shielding Hillary Clinton and hold her fully accountable to the rule of law. So we're having more and more evidence come out, and Judicial Watch is doing a fantastic job. They're finding all this information, but no one is saying, hey, let's have an investigation. Or is there an investigation already happening? Well, again, this is behind closed doors. There's been no leaks. And these are what the sealed indictments are about, or part of it. There's many other things that are under the sealed indictments. So today, Barr was answering some questions in front of Congress. And of course, all they wanted to do was talk about the Mueller report. And Attorney General William Barr told lawmakers that he'll be releasing a public version of a special counsel Robert Mueller's report within a week. Barr also said that the redactions made to the report would be color-coded and footnoted so that the public knows why the Justice Department decided to redact those portions. Barr has said that the public version of the report will be redacted to conceal grand jury information, classified national security details that could reveal sources and methods, details that could compromise ongoing investigations, and information that could impact the privacy and reputation interests of peripheral third parties. Basically what he's doing, he's following the rule of law. Now, Trump, in this past week, visited the southern border. He was in California. He went there to see how the wall was coming along. He also talked to the border agents. And we know that the mainstream media, we know that the deep state, they don't want this wall to be built. Many people think that it's not being built, but it is. The old portions are being replaced. The new sections are going up. Trump has the funding. And we can see that there are still judges out there that are trying to stop him. Lauren Ingraham tweeted out the following: tyranny of judiciary as another Obama appointee in San Francisco stymies at real Donald Trump. Judge blocks Trump's asylum policy but delays enforcement. Trump responded to Laura Ingraham's tweet and said the following: a Ninth Circuit judge just ruled that Mexico is too dangerous for migrants, so unfair to the U.S., out of control. And he's calling attention to this, and what this normally happens is it goes from this one judge up to the Supreme Court, then they're overruled. But we need to remember something very important. Trump right now is nominating a lot of federal judges, and he's changing the structure within the Ninth Circuit, within the Fourth Circuit, and many of these courts. So a lot of things are changing, and he's doing this at an accelerated pace. And he was down at the southern border, and he was looking at the new wall. The White House tweeted out the following: the newly constructed 30-foot wall in Calexico, California, replaces a barrier made of surplus corrugated steel landing mats from the Vietnam War, and border officials tell President it's making a crucial difference. And we have a problem at the border. Actually, yesterday we talked about how Chris Cuomo went down to the border and was completely shocked that these individuals are not coming up here for asylum, but they were promised jobs and they were bringing their kids along so they can get into the country. Now, we know that Trump fired Kirstjen Nielsen, and we see that the mainstream media is out there saying that Trump is cleaning house. And I believe what he's doing is he is restructuring DHS, because we can see right now there are 3 major departments which will have acting secretaries. Didn't we have an acting attorney general? And didn't Q tell us that having a temp in these positions is beneficial? Let's go back to post 2746. Q says, RE, the Scaramucci model. 5-5. Those who left majority did not have a choice. All remain pro-MAGA and loyal to POTUS. Why are we attacked by a pro-MAGA? The establishment runs deep, logical thinking. Just because they seem like they're pro-MAGA doesn't mean they really are. We move on to post 2957. Again, an anon says, acting, temporary role, cause destruction, then move on. Hard to hit a moving target. Q says, Scaramucci model, temp, higher by design. Telling us that these individuals that are in these positions that are acting, they are very destructive while they're in there because they're temps. And we can see that most of the world, they are not agreeing with the globalist. Many countries in the EU are rejecting this type of immigration, this forced immigration, saying you must accept these individuals. And we know that Soros is part of all of this, where Soros is continually paying for these individuals to move into Europe, to come up through Mexico. And this is a coordinated effort. Actually, a sweeping study of Britons found that every demographic from age to ethnicity to political party wants less immigration. Findings by the new Tory think tank Onward revealed majority backing for controlling numbers, even among 18 to 24 years old, who back it by 38 to 36%, according to The Sun. An even higher proportion of Remainers back cutting immigration, with 40% in support and 34% against, the same numbers among Asian voters. Remainers are those who voted for Britain to stay a member of the European Union. They are considered liberal and would be expected to support immigration. The study sampled around 10,000 Britons. So even in Britain, they're saying, no, we don't want this. And many countries within the EU, they don't want this either. Now, let's head out to Venezuela because something very interesting is happening with Venezuela. And I do believe that Trump, the Patriots, are setting up the deep state and the neocons. First of all, with those individuals in America, Trump is gaining their vote for what he's doing in Venezuela. But I don't think this is the actual objective to remove Maduro, because Pence was delivering a speech on Venezuela on Friday at Rice University, Baker Institute at Houston, Texas. And Pence's speech was highly rhetorical, and he kept repeating that Trump is unwavering in his commitment to support the Venezuelan opposition as it struggles to replace the Maduro government. Of course, Pence condemned Maduro and said, we're against socialism. Pence listed out the sanctions and other measures that Trump administration has employed to bring down Maduro. Now, if you go back to North Korea and you go back to Syria, Trump had harsh words for Assad, had harsh words for Kim Jong-un. Just because he's saying it doesn't mean that this is exactly what they're doing. Usually it's the opposite. Now, the speech was interesting for three reasons. Once, Pence didn't mention a word about Russia. Two, he instead singled out Cuba as the arch villain. And the truth is, the only way Maduro, clings to power is with the help that he receives from communist Cuba. Cuba's leaders are the real imperialists in the Western Hemisphere. For decades, Cuba has tried to create client states across the region. While normal countries export goods, Cuba exports tyranny and strong-arm tactics. Cuba's influence has driven Venezuela's failure, and at the time has come to liberate Venezuela from Cuba. And this is very interesting because remember, Trump reversed the policies from Obama that had to do with Cuba. And if we go back to post-1884, remember on August 15, 2018, Q gave us a list of all these different places where access was closed. Well, Cuba was on this list. And it says access closed, which means the deep state operated out of Cuba, which says that Cuba has something to do with Venezuela. And we're starting to see that this is starting to make a lot more sense. Remember, the deep state, they're in many countries. The deep state has a hold on certain governments. And we can see in Saudi Arabia, in Haiti, in North Korea, China, Russia, and Cuba, access has been closed. And I do believe that their last part of the mission here in Venezuela is to force these individuals out of Venezuela, just like they did with North Korea. Now, as you can see with North Korea, those same individuals, they're still pushing their agenda. They'll never give up. And remember, they use the mainstream media to make it seem like something is happening when it really isn't. Like in North Korea. Oh, they're starting to, develop their missile program again. They started their nuclear reactor. They go all through this. The same thing in Venezuela. And I believe there's an operation behind all of this, which will become very, very clear very soon. The same thing with Iran. Now, Pompeo was out there, and he announced that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is now declared a foreign terrorist organization. And he gave a speech, and this is the part that I find very interesting. Businesses and banks around the world now have a clear duty to ensure that companies with which they conduct financial transactions are not connected to the IRGC in any material way. It also gives the U.S. government additional tools to counter Iranian-backed terrorism. Now, this is coming out of the conservative treehouse, and this really makes a lot of sense. The move to label members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as official terrorist designees now permits the world financial community to impose sanctions and freeze assets of any IRG member and leaders. Of course, it would help the geopolitical effort if a U.S. official was, say, president of the World Bank. Oh, wait a minute. David R. Malpass, well, he was selected as the next president of the World Bank Group. Well, this helps out. This now forces a situation where financial proxies, China, Russia, will have to be created for an Iran to exploit access to capital. Of course, anyone caught acting as a proxy for the Iranian regime to escape sanctions and or frozen assets will run the risk of being caught by the U.S. and subsequently suffer financial consequences. World Bank President David Malpass would hold the key to any loans needed by ancillary economies, which means countries who rely on the World Bank would be apprehensive to engage in any financial connections to Iran, which means China, Russia would have to find a way to fill the financial gap, and any other country would have to figure out a way to fill the financial gap. And that brings me back to post 1345. This is May 12, 2018. Q says, reread Crumb's Iran. It was never about worldwide safety and security. It was never about nuclear disarmament. It was never about opening a new untapped market. It was about securing a black site. The exchange, Uranium One. Risk the welfare of the world. Why? Money. Organized, planned by Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Carried out by Hussein. Remember, Hillary Clinton ran against Hussein? Uranium One donations to the Clinton Foundation. $1.7 billion in cash transfer to Iran, 4 routes, 5 planes. Did the total withdrawal actually depart EU? Why EU? Define bribe. Define kickback. Special interest groups, SIG. What US-EU companies immediately closed large deals in Iran post-deal? Gave us a New York Times article. Well, there were a couple companies that did this. Let me read some of this article here. European companies rush to invest in Iran. European companies moved quickly to invest in Iran after it agreed in 2015 to mothball its nuclear weapons program in return for an end to economic sanctions. Automakers like Daimler and PSA Peugeot linked up with Iranian partners to sell vehicles. Siemens of Germany struck a deal to deliver locomotives. Total of France began a project to explore offshore natural gas. German companies, for instance, have thrived by selling factory machinery, power grid infrastructure, and construction equipment that growing nations need to build modern economies. Q says, cross-check companies against political and foundation payments. Define bribe. Define kickback. Why are people panicking about Iran deal pullout? They never thought she would lose. Truth coming. So think about what Trump has just done. He has blocked all of these companies and put pressure on Europe and Iran. Remember, Trump wants Iran to come out and deal with him. and make a new agreement. Because Trump and the Patriots, they know the deal that Obama and Clintons have made. They were planning on setting up another black site. And the EU was bribed, and many others were bribed. And it looks like they're getting ready to put pressure on Iran to come to the negotiation table. No, we're not invading. We're not invading Venezuela either. This is to push the deep state out of these areas, just like with North Korea. As you can see, the pieces are all starting to fit together now. And the push is real. The Mueller report is coming out. The firewall that the deep state was using is gone. The hunters are now becoming the hunted. And they're nervous, they're afraid, and they're panicking. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.